Hello, everybody. How are you doing? All right. How many people actually are here because they saw there was an animal talk going on here? Oh, that's pretty good. We always want to know if people are seeing this stuff we're putting out. So, all right. So this is the official Beluga narration. How many folks? This is your first trip to Georgia Aquarium, and everybody else is a repeat offender. Okay, we're good with that too. Excellent, excellent. Well, hope you're enjoying yourself here today. It's a little more folks here than we usually have on a Tuesday, but that's cool. More is better. How many of you have had a chance to see the dolphins already today? How many are going to 2? All right, make sure you get up there by 1:30, by the way. It's a big thing, and it takes a long time to get in there, so that's your best way, because they're going to close those doors at 2. Anyways, back to beluga whales. So just a quick rundown what we got behind us here. This is our beluga whale habitat. There are currently 5 beluga whales in here, 1 male, there he goes, Nunavik, and 4 girls, here they are up here. And the habitat's 800,000 gallons. You've got this window on this side, you got the window in the ballrooms. If you're ever invited to the ballroom, it's thinner, you can hear them. They're very chatty whales, you know. And so around that corner, if you see them going in and out of there, they got that gate open. That is the medical habitat. The floor there can lift up, so if we do any quick health assessments, I think they were doing some physicals back there today or something. And then there's another gate that opens up, and that's the secondary habitat. So the whole thing's 800,000 gallons. So if you come up here and you go, wow, where are the beluga whales? They're in the back room. It's a small one, but it's like the TV room I call it. Everybody wants to go back there. And belugas actually are very comfortable with kind of confined spaces, as they do live in the north there. So every beluga whale you see here was born in human care. So I call them domestic beluga whales. And none of these are wild cats. I'm not sure if there's any left in the AZA system or right now. The oldest one I knew, I think it was about 1.5 years ago. He passed away. He was in San Diego, and he was. They normally live about 40 years. And he was 52 years old, and he looked good the whole time. You know, you want to look good to the end there. So that's quite a long time for them to live there. So as a group, they do live in the Arctic northern areas up there. The population that's in the United States would be off the coast of Alaska, and it's a Cook Inlet population. Unfortunately, it's been going up and down a lot. Now, I'm not saying they're dying or anything, but they're moving away. Here's what causes that. Has anybody heard of a warm water events on the West Coast called the blob? I know it's kind of weird, don't it? They had several of these events. We call them unusual mortality events. You know what the word mortality means. Things aren't doing well. So they had one of the, I think it was 2013, 2015, 16. They just had another one up there, and that's affected our birds, our murre population up there. But what will happen is the water warms up, and it's usually like this 1,000-mile round area, about 300 foot deep, and the water temperature can be anywhere from 4 to 10 degrees above normal. So we're actually seeing algae blooms. We shouldn't see them. Algae shouldn't be up there. But what it's causing is it gets toxic because the algae gets upset, we'll say, and it gives off toxins. And what will happen then is the bait fish go away, and the other fish have to chase it. So let's say you got 500 beluga whales living in Cook Inlet. All of a sudden you got 200. It's because they moved away to try to find more food. So that's one of the issues. So the major population in North America that you're going to be able to actually see and interact with is going to be in Hudson Bay, particularly Churchill, which is kind of, if you take Hudson Bay and look about 9 o'clock, there's Churchill there. You have to fly or take a several-day train ride up there, but it's pretty much geared around ecotourism right now. In the summertime, that means like July, August, you can actually go out on boats or get in the water with them. I see people now paddleboarding with them. It's the only population of wild beluga whales that do not seem to be afraid of the man. And I was listening, they have every week they have a boat that goes out with cameras, and they talk to a scientist, and it's online on explore.org. So I was listening to her, and she said that reason is probably because none of them are alive that remember being hunted by humans. The other populations aren't quite so now these in Hudson Bay do come from around Greenland, so you'd think they would have a little experience of being hunted, but they seem to be very friendly with people. They're very curious. They come right up to you in the water out there. But their population in general is around 150 to 155,000 worldwide. And if you figure how many people live in a city, that's what, 3 blocks of people in New York City? You know, that's not that many people. So it's something to conserve now. We work with the folks at the Seward Sea Life Center in Seward, Alaska. I've rescued several beluga whales there, so we go up there and help them with population counts and health assessments on those populations. Also, our birds, our puffin habitat, which is really more should be called auk habitat. They're all members of the auk family. They came to us from a partnership we have with the Seward Sea Life Center. And several of the puffins and the meres are now on the species survival plan. I hate to say, but I think it was a year and a half ago, because it takes that long for the research to come out. They had another mass die off of unfortunately common meres off Alaska, and literally half their population's gone. The report I read said it's about like half of people in New York City going away. And at this time, it's really a little more serious than the other ones because they're not recovering. So these are things going on up in that Arctic area that we have to worry about, because we like our meres. By the way, if you go around and you look at the puffin habitat, ask the person there to show you the baby meres we have. Well, they're young juveniles now, and it's our first two that were hatched there, and they are the cutest thing. You think a puffin's cute, wait till you see our baby mere in the school. So there's two of them there. The person up there can help you find them. Well, back to our belugas again. Besides that population in Alaska, there's some different areas all around the top part of the planet. The category that includes beluga whales has only one other animal in it. What other whale looks like a beluga whale? It's got a long thing on its nose. Narwhal, there we go. And you know that is actually their canine teeth. They erupt in kind of a spiral. That's the only teeth they have. And they have had a bona fide video of them stunning Arctic char with them, so we know it's used for hunting. But then the nerves, are lots of nerves in it. We think maybe they can use that to sense salt and cold water. Remember, they're in ice floes. They're moving around, and they really can't see the shore. They want to know where they are, and that may help them with directional finding. Now, you see those beluga whales moving farther north, and there's been interaction between narwhals and belugas, so I can bet you that we're going to see a hybrid. It's called a norluga when you see a hybrid. And it'll have unusual teeth because these are peg teeth animals. So let's go back. I forgot to mention why these are mammals. So they are mammals just like we are. All cetaceans are mammals. They have all the same attributes we have. That would be they're warm-blooded. Their blood temperature is around 92 normal. They give live birth, another trait of a mammal. They nurse their young with milk. And the girls, you can see their mammary glands, it's a little V down there. They also have some hair or fur, believe it or not. In the case of belugas, it's on the calves when they're born. There's Shiloh there, I don't see any here. But they think that helps with the nursing to stimulate the milk and things like that. I've seen pictures of baleen whales up near these boat watchers, you know. And they have little whiskers on their nose all the time. So they do. They are mammals. They have adapted back in the ocean. They do have a vestibular hip. Certain parts of their internal organs are still hooked to those, so that's a leftover. The tail is just a tail with a big cartilage flap on the end. And which way do you think the power stroke is, down or up? Where's all the muscles on it? It's got to be up, because all the muscles are on top. Big power stroke there. So they're very amazing animals. I mean, you know, our history with whales has been kind of a checkered one in the past. We've hunted them for food, oil, and things like that. And mostly we're not. There's a few countries, I think it's Iceland and Japan, that are still not quite on board with the fact that these are long-lived, very intelligent, sentient beings, and probably, you know, I wouldn't eat my pet dog, so I still wouldn't eat one of these. These are more my friends. So I've been here 13 years, and I've known a couple of these animals for that long in here. Now, we do have, let's see who's more there. Oh, they're interacting with they may be having a encounter up here. And they're doing a behavior right now. Hi, it's my friend, going like that. So the trainers are over there right now. So you can book a session with them, which is what's going on here. We no longer do it in the water. I got to go in the water with them once. Oh my God, that was the best thing I've ever done in my life. So spent a half hour in there with them. By the way, the water is about 58, even with the wetsuit on, with no gloves on. I was silly. I left my hands in the water the whole time, and I got a little hypothermia there when I got out, but I was a happy camper. Yeah, it was getting kind of cold. So you can book these. You have to book them in advance. They're pretty popular, but you could be up there right now. And we also, maybe they're not doing an encounter. I don't know, but the harbor seals in here, usually they put them somewhere else in there. But we have 3 harbor seals in here. We have the 2 boys, Floyd, and his actual name is Cerberus. I didn't know what that was. I looked it up and went, oh. It's the mythical two-headed dog or something that guards the gates of hell. Somebody in Orlando, where he was born, had a sense of humor. We call him Serby, and we call the other one Floyd, and the one that's a little smaller is Rose. That's our female. They've been here 16 years. That's 3 years longer than I have been. And they were born in Orlando to different parents. It must have been a busy harbor seal breeding season at SeaWorld over there in Orlando. But like I say, beluga whales, we're doing a lot of research, trying to keep track of them, find out what's going on. You hear of stories of them showing up places they shouldn't show up. A lot of animals are getting confused because water temperatures are changing at different times of the season. The climate is changing in ways that it hadn't done for a long time, and that confuses a lot of animals, so it's not good for them there. But these animals are pretty amazing. If we didn't have them here, we wouldn't be able to talk to you about them. You wouldn't care about them. You wouldn't know anything about them. So it's important to have them here so we can discuss them. And in our case, we do work with the folks up at the Seward Sea Life Center. They did a rescue up there several years ago, and it was a baby whale. It was only a few weeks old, which is unusual. Usually they're abandoned because something's wrong. They're going to die. So they took it in, thinking it would just last a little while. And then they went ahead and noticed it was doing pretty well. So they did some different things. They warmed up the water because they don't have a lot of blubber. They do have thick skin at birth. And his name was Tyonic. And he's a fighter because he had some troubles. So everybody, before COVID, we started sending team members up there because you have to feed them like every hour or something like that. And Tyonic got over colic. He got over a collapsed lung. He's a fighter, and he survived. And he is now living in San Antonio. So he's unable to be released, but the important thing is he's also new male DNA in the population in North America. There's you got to keep working. You got to stand in the right spot with this thing. Yeah, very limited amount of whales in human care, so we have to watch how the DNA. You can't have, somebody's a brother and sister, of course, in the same habitat breeding there. So we were very careful about that. So I want to ask, does anybody have any questions at all? You've been so quiet out here. Work. You think this might work all the time. Only if I stand right here. So, no questions at all? No? Yes, here's one right here. Go. She asked me, are whales soft? They are really soft. So it's kind of like, I touched a dolphin and a whale. The whale's a little smoother. Dolphin feels like you're touching a wetsuit. Some people say it's like a boiled egg that you peeled, but I thought it felt more like a wetsuit. And here's the weird thing, is when I put my hand on it, this is my personal experiment, I said, I want to see if I feel any heat coming off this animal. Because they have like a centimeter of skin and maybe up to 10 centimeters of blubber. They put on more if it gets colder out. I tried that, it doesn't help me out at all, it's so cold. But that keeps them warmer. And I put my hand against them, and I couldn't feel any heat coming off them. Well, they're super insulated. They're keeping all that heat in. You also notice they have small fins, and they have no dorsal fin. They have just a ridge, and that's by design because they live in extremely cold environments, and that smaller fin helps keep the body temperature in. That ridge is tough, so they live where there's ice, and they may have to break through the ice to get a breathing hole there. You've probably seen some reports in the past because ice flows are moving at different times, where we've actually had to send out people with chainsaws or the Russians or somebody came up with an icebreaker to help these beluga whales get to where they needed to go. Because if they kept going under the water, they wouldn't be able to get out and drown. Because remember, they do breathe air, just like we do. Forgot to mention that. Another mammal trait, they breathe air. So we have to make sure they can get around. But things are changing, and it's getting harder and harder for the animals to figure out what's going on, so they're moving around a bit up there. But yes, they're very fun to touch. It's like a cold wetsuit there. All right, so is anybody going to the 2 o'clock dolphin show again?